Hey, I'm Olivia, and you're listening to Soarin Around WDW. Happy Wednesday, flight crew. We are back this week with what you all have been waiting for, our Disneyland recap for our trip for the 70th anniversary. And we are so excited to get into it today. This is obviously the long-awaited part of our trip, and I'm really glad that we did it at the end because I think our kids would have just talked about this the entire time, like literally for days after. They're like, Disney World, Mickey Mouse, when are we going back? I want to go again. I want to do this. So I think it's good we did it at the end. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
The thing about it is, like, then we were exhausted because it was 2 very full days, and then we came home, like, totally wiped. So it's like, should we have done this first and then relaxed afterwards, like in Monterey? I don't know. But I think it worked out the way it was supposed to with, everything else. But so we started off on Wednesday, June 25th, driving in from Yosemite, and we've never been so happy to see 2 things on this drive. What are the 2 things we were so happy to see, Maddie?
Interstate. I don't know what the second thing is.
A Chick-fil-A.
A Chick-fil-A.
So, yeah, we drove on some crazy mountain roads, like between Lake Tahoe and Yosemite, and like getting to Tahoe, and then also getting out of Yosemite onto the interstate to Anaheim. It was so nauseating. And like, if you get car sickness, just pack the Dramamine, try to sleep. I don't know, because our kids, who are usually not bothered by this at all, kept commenting like, my belly hurts, I don't feel good. And I was like, oh no, are we going to be throwing up? And I was driving, Maddie was in the passenger seat. Did you do okay with it, or were you getting a little like, was it more the heights, or were you like nauseous?
Yeah, no, mine was definitely more the fear of heights.
Yeah, because again, similarly, there are like no barriers, or what do you call it? Like a barrier, like a guardrail.
Yeah, guardrail.
On the side of the road on some of these crazy windy mountain roads, and the speed limit is like 55, and I'm like, who's going 55 on these roads? We are going like 25. There were not very many other cars around, and I think I said like, oh gosh, I hope like we don't blow a tire out here. How would you ever find anything? We have no cell service. And Maddie's like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
So anyways, we were very happy to see a normal interstate, but we immediately remembered how much LA traffic sucks. And we had like an hour added to our time.
Something like that. Yeah, sounds about right.
So it was like 3:30 on a Wednesday. So
Yeah,
I remember Maddie
crazy.
saying like, how do you work and then get off work? I mean, you just have to live right where you work there, or no, you're going to sit in like 2 hours worth of traffic every day. So we arrived at the Hilton Anaheim and got into our room immediately, and there was a conference going on that week at the convention center, so it was really busy, and I wasn't sure that we would actually get in our room before check-in, which was technically like 4 o'clock. We ended up on the 7th floor, and they asked if we wanted to be upgraded to like a park view room, and I said no. I didn't even ask how much it was, because if we were going to be there longer or had a resort day or something like that, like maybe it would have been worth it, but we knew we were going to be in the parks like all day, every day, so it just didn't seem like spending extra money for a park view was worth it for this trip in particular. If we wouldn't have stayed for fireworks and wanted to watch them from the room or whatever, like maybe, but I just didn't see that it was going to be worth it for us. And so the room we were in, it was nice. It was actually like pretty spacious, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, it was good.
A lot of the hotels these days have like sliding barn doors for the bathroom, which I don't love, because then it seems like the light and the noise can like wake the kids up when we're trying to shower, like when they're asleep or whatever. But the actual room was a renovated room. It was very clean. It seemed very nice. But yeah, overall the room was good. And so we got there, we kind of got Blake's blow up bed set up because she did sleep on the blow up bed here. And we had a 2-queen room. And then we headed down to downtown Disney at like 4:45 or so, and it took us almost exactly 20 minutes from walking out of the hotel lobby to security outside of downtown Disney. And security was pretty busy. It actually made me really nervous for the next morning, but I think a lot of locals were probably coming to downtown Disney after work because it wasn't, that busy the next morning at all. So it must have been just like in people coming in the evening to downtown Disney or something. It just seems super busy compared to the morning for sure. For those of you who are like us and are more frequent Disney World goers versus Disneyland, security is actually quite different. So first you actually have to walk through the metal detector and have your bags searched every time. At Disney World, you walk through, and it only if it dings do you actually have to have your bag searched. But here it's every time. And then here it's each and every time you exit and re-enter the property. So if you've, again, never been to Disneyland, everything is right there. It's all connected. So Downtown Disney, Disney California Adventure, and Disneyland are all centrally right there. You do one security for all of them. Versus at Disney World, it's, you exit and enter the park. You have to go back through security too. But this is all connected. So if you're going to Downtown Disney, it's the same as if you're going to the, Disneyland, Disney California Adventure. And once you're in, you can hop between parks without having to go back through security, and you can go to Downtown Disney for dinner, hop back in, whatever. So only if you exit what their Disney bubble, so to speak, is, or lack thereof, which we can talk about later. But so it is a little bit different, pros and cons, and we'll talk about that later, but it is all right there. And so we headed over to World of Disney, where I was looking for a new cup for water for the parks, because I forgot to say in the last episode that I did talk about how I first dropped my favorite ever Llama Littles 40-ounce tumbler, Parks tumbler, in the airport and busted the handle off. But then in Yosemite on the Yarts bus, I dropped it top down and shattered the top too. Like the plastic just totally shattered. So it was truly done for. So I went in hoping to find a cute tumbler or something, Disneyland themed, or even not like specific Disneyland, just like parks or characters, something really cute. But I didn't find anything that I super loved. So I actually ended up with like a 20-ounce Starbucks coffee insulated cup, and I don't drink coffee. So it just I'm just going to use it for water, but it's very cute. So I'll have to post stories about our merch haul and like what we bought while we were there on the Instagram this week, so that you guys can see the things that we got. But it is very, very cute. And if you don't follow us already, at Soarin Around WDW pod on Instagram, for those of you who aren't already following us there. We did also get a Christmas ornament for the 70th, as well as a little commemorative 70th pin, but I think that's all we bought that day. We looked around, and looked at the different shops and stuff, but it's significantly smaller than Disney Springs. Again, pros and cons. Disney Springs can get a little crazy, but I actually thought it was smaller than the last time we were there, and we both kind of said, wasn't it way bigger last time? But I looked it up, and it's the same.
Well, it seemed like it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we were coming from opposite direction too last time.
Yeah, we came in through technically, I guess, the back entrance, farther away from the parks, through Downtown Disney last time, because we were staying off of that street at the Holiday Inn. But yeah, so where we ate last time was the ESPN zone, and that's not there anymore. And so I thought maybe they got rid of that whole building, but they actually just renovated it, and it has multiple different shops in it. So I guess it is the same size when I looked it up. But what do you think of their Downtown Disney section versus Disney Springs in Orlando?
Obviously, it's a lot smaller.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Disney Springs it's not my thing, really. So
yeah.
I guess it didn't really bother me.
There just weren't a lot of different restaurant options.
Yeah, I guess it was pretty finite in that area. Whereas I feel I guess Disney Springs does have a good variety of food options to choose from.
Yeah, and they have less expensive, more expensive. Here they did have obviously some more quick service type stuff, a couple of sit down options, but it just seemed very limited compared to Disney Springs.
It seemed like the last time we went there was more food options.
I know. That's what I thought too, and maybe some of them now are just little shops. But
I feel like there was an ESPN.
Well, there was, so that's what I said. That's gone. They gutted it and they renovated it into shops.
Oh, yeah. I guess it is. Now I'm thinking about it, it is very, very limited compared to Disney Springs.
Yeah, and Disney Springs is a little crazy. It's not my favorite place in the world.
Yeah, it's a lot of people usually.
A lot of people. This didn't seem as crowded as Disney Springs. It also was a weeknight.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So anyway, it was fine. Not the best, but I do still like how everything is very close and walkable. We did also see a lot of cute little spots to take pictures with the 70th decor and get some pictures of the kids with the different signs. And we ate at Black Tap Craft Burgers and Beer. The reason we ate there is because, well, first of all, it was quick service, so we were looking not to do, an expensive sit-down thing. But also, I thought that they had, a special milkshake for the 70th, and it was either a limited time or I misread, but they did have just a special in general Disney shake. It sounds like they have it all the time, or they change out what it is, but It was called the Special Edition Crazy Shake featuring Disney Mickey Mouse, and it was a strawberry shake with a vanilla frosted rim, Mickey Mouse shaped sprinkles, topped with a house-made Mickey Mouse shaped crispy treat, red rock candy, whipped cream, red sprinkles, and cherries. And you guys, it was so cute. I ranked it like a 4 out of 5 for taste. You never tasted it, right? But then 5 out of 5 for presentation because it was just adorable when it came out. The kids loved it. It was expensive, like $20 expensive for one shake, but the three of us girls kind of shared it. And so I thought it was worth it in the end. It's like, we're not going to do this very often. It's something cute. But what did you think of the actual food? You thought it was like okay, right?
Yeah, mine was at a 10. Mine was probably a 4.
Did you get chicken or something? What did you get?
Some sort of salad thing that it just didn't.
Oh, salad.
Yeah, whatever I got was not very good.
Yeah, the kids. So I shared a kid's cheeseburger with Eiley and fries, and then Blake got a hot dog and fries, and it was fine. It wasn't like the most amazing, but yeah, we were trying to do like less expensive. It was still pricey-ish for quick service, but not terrible. And then we decided to go ahead and head back to the hotel because we wanted to give the kids a bath before we knew we weren't going to be able to give them a bath the next night because it was going to be super late. And so we were like, all right, let's just go ahead, do bath. On the way out, I decided to ask a cast member because we are supposed to get like a special lanyard and commemorative pin as part of like our package that we booked through Disney. And everybody that I asked was like, had no idea what I was talking about. I did not ask in World of Disney, and apparently that's the place that you should ask. But I was like, how do I get to like show them? Like it just says it in the email from my travel agent. My travel agent's like, there should be a barcode. You just have to give it to them. And almost every cast member had no idea what I was talking about in downtown Disney. So they said, just ask in guest relations tomorrow and they will figure it out for you like inside of the park. And I was like, okay. So go to World of Disney, ask the people like at the cash registers there. And how you get to it is when you go to the Disneyland app. I believe what I did was I went to the Disneyland app and then I opened up like my hotel. And then there was another thing. I'm looking here. I think it was like my profile or maybe my hotel reservations, and you clicked on your hotel reservation and there was a little barcode there. It's like view travel e-package and then view magical extras, and then it comes up with this barcode. So I will kind of show y'all an example of what it looks like. I mean, ours has already been scanned, so you can't take it, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was a little bit complicated to get to. But we went back, went to bed, got some rest, and then so we started very early the next morning, and there was not early entrance at California Adventure that day. That's why we chose it, because the resorts there rotate which park you get early entrance for like actual hotel guests at the Grand Californian, the Disneyland Hotel, and the Pixar Place Resort. And so since we were technically at a neighbor hotel, you don't get early entry, and so they rotate like which park. So it was Disneyland that day, so we decided to do California Adventure. That way we didn't have to worry about, competing with people that were already in the park for early entry, although it's very limited because again it's just those 3 hotels, but we just didn't want to even have to like mess with that. So we got to the gates at 7:20, and it actually was not that busy. We were one of the first groups, and you went to go get Jamba Juice and came back like with plenty of time, right?
Yeah, that was good.
So we got up to the entrance, and I had a Magic Band Plus already from Disney World, and I had connected it in the app. You do have to connect it separately to the Disneyland app, so it has to be charged enough to be able to do all that, but nobody else in our party had a Magic Band, so we had to scan. You can take a screenshot and send it to people in your party so they can have it on their phone as a backup if your phone dies or doesn't work or whatever, if they can't get into your app. So that's what I did, was just screenshot and send to Maddie because he didn't have the Disneyland app. And then their system is different. So they do not do fingerprints. And I heard this was a recent change, but you scan and then it takes your picture. So the kids had to like stand up out of the stroller to get their picture taken, or well, Blake didn't because she wasn't 3 yet, but Eiley did. And that's what they use as your entry every day. So no fingerprints, but it does have a face photo, like facial recognition for you to get in and out of the parks each day. So just something to be prepared for. That did take like an extra second to tap the picture and get the kids out of the stroller to do the picture. But for the most part, it was pretty easy. And it did, this was the first thing that made me think we should have gotten Eiley a Magic Band. Maybe should be getting a Maddie a Magic Band, because Magic Bands just make everything so much easier. And now that they use them for the cruise and Disneyland and for Disney World, it just seems so much simpler. But anyways, so we got into the park not long after. They actually let us in a smidge early, and we were supposed to get in like right at 8 o'clock. I think we got let in the gates at 7:30, and people started to line up either basically for Avengers Campus to go to Web Slingers or Mission Breakout, for Radiator Springs to go to Radiator Springs Racers, or to Pixar Pier to head toward like Incredicoaster or Toy Story Mania. Well, our initial plan was to go to Web Slingers, and unfortunately Web Slingers was closed that morning, so we couldn't do that. We did pay for Lightning Lane Multipass ahead of time with our package, so as soon as we scanned in at 7:30, even before the park opened, we could select our first Multipass, which was the first thing that I was like, oh, this is different than Disney World, because you do it ahead of time, 7 days, and I knew you had to scan in and do it. I didn't know you could do it before the park opened, so I started to notice people doing it. I was like, oh shoot, we can log on and get our passes. So we went ahead and made our initial selection, and our first selection we actually made for Mission Breakout, because it was one that we were pretty sure we were going to do more than once. Like, we wanted to wait for it. Our original plan was do Web Slingers and then go have Maddie and Eiley get in line for Mission Breakout, do rider swap, and then I take Blake on something else. Well, because Web Slingers was down, that kind of totally changed our trajectory. So we headed over to Pixar Pier, and the first ride of the day was Toy Story Mania. And, I mean, it was really cute. Did you notice anything different about their Toy Story Mania?
I did not. Did you?
Yes, they had little 70th anniversary and like little bonus points for certain things. Targets were like, instead of 500, it was like 700.
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
You didn't notice that? And we went on it more than once.
No, I didn't.
That's funny. So this is one of our favorite rides. It's actually like one of your top rides too, right? In all like Disney World.
Probably a top 30.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was. For sure. It was not that different. It was, no wait, because we got there right away. And so we blew right past everybody. Obviously that was going to Incredicoaster and stuff like that, and went right on it. And then after we got off, Incredicoaster was still only like a 5-minute wait. And this was my first, the second roadblock of the day. The first was Web Slingers being closed and having to like change our path. But the second roadblock of the day was Maddie went, and I was like, oh, it's 5 minutes, go. And then I'll go right after you. It'll probably still be short. And so we didn't do rider swap. And by the time Maddie got off, it was like a half an hour wait. And I was like, well, that just totally screwed us for that, but that's okay. And when he was on on Incredicoaster, I took the kids on the little Jesse's Critter Carousel. They really liked it. And by the time we got off of that, he was off the ride. But what did you think of the Incredicoaster?
It was good. I haven't been on a roller coaster with flips in a while, so it was fun to be able to have a flip again.
Yeah,
I thought overall it was well designed. It was good to have to see all the different characters, and to have them kind of in little surprise points. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, it was. We didn't go on it when it was California Screamin', and last time that we were there, it was being closed and refurbished. It was closed and being refurbished into the Incredicoaster, so it was fun to get to go. But so I didn't go on it initially then, and our return time for Guardians initially was like 8 a.m., and so I kept just like bumping it back a smidge so that we could utilize early entry and not have to be there right away. But so we went basically from that and went back over all the way back to where Guardians was, and Maddie and Eiley went ahead and went on Guardians. We did get the rider swap. Their system was down, so they had to give us a paper ticket, but the benefit of that is that there's no return time, so they don't know when your rider swap was. They were pretty chill about like, just come back, you get in the lightning lane. And if you haven't done rider swap, how it works is basically Blake couldn't go. Obviously, she didn't meet the height requirement, or if there's someone in your party who doesn't want to go, you and one other person. So like for us, Maddie and Eiley could ride. I would stay with Blake. And then the next time when we rode again, you and one other person can go again. So I could take Eiley another time, which worked out to our favor, especially over at Disneyland. But So Eiley and Maddie went. Eiley's been on on Tower of Terror at Disneyland a couple of times now, but describe how it went for her with this ride.
Yeah, so I was expecting her to be like super just comfortable and excited.
Especially because it's not like scary.
Yeah, especially because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. I feel that's something that she definitely like. She just likes that kind of stuff. I feel like she talks a lot about the characters from time to time. So I was not expecting the result that we had, but yeah, I went on it, and unfortunately, she started to just have like a kind of anxious kind of breakdown, and was just I don't think it was so much the ride. I think there were just certain, I don't know if it was because of how loud it was or just maybe some of the stuff on the screen that kind of scared her a little bit, but it didn't quite have the result that we were, or I was thinking she would. But I guess like the second time she went, she was pretty good, right? Like,
well, we'll get into that. Not really. So, and so spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear a spoiler about this ride, if you've never been on it, fast forward about 10 seconds or 15 seconds. But if you don't care about spoilers and you want to know, especially if you're going to bring your kids on this, you might want to listen. But basically, this version of the ride, you drop almost immediately, or you shoot up or drop immediately. There's no like, you go through the ride and you go into the shaft. And I guess Tower of Terror, like, you have a little bit more time before you start dropping. This is like, you back up and you immediately start dropping or shoot up, right? And then at the end, when the characters are out there and they're kind of like, oh, you made it, you're Guardians of the Galaxy, you still shoot up another time. Mm-hmm. So I think that just like really caught her off guard. Whereas Tower of Terror, now she's like prepped. It's like, okay, they say Twilight Zone and you immediately like drop or go up. This was like way sooner. There wasn't as much like pre-show stuff, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I think that got her. But while they were doing that, I took Blake over to Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue, which is going away soon for the new Avatar Land, which is so sad. But we went on this 3 times in a row, and the people were so funny. They were just like, they recognized Blake in her little Buzz dress, and they were like, oh, hi, you're back. And we just walked right on 3 times in a row. I mean, no problem while they were riding Guardians. But you guys got on and off Guardians very quick, and that was a standby line. It was like 15 minutes.
15 minutes, I think was what it was.
And this was our technically 3rd ride of the morning with early entry. And my timestamp for getting on to Mike and Sully in the Rescue, the second time, was 8:43 a.m. So we had already ridden Toy Story Mania, Maddie rode Incredicoaster while we did the Critter Carousel, and then now going on to this. So it was pretty quick, and I just love that Monsters Inc. ride. It's so adorable. I'm excited to hear what, I don't know, this isn't confirmed by Disney, but what I've heard is that they're talking about reusing some of these animatronics in the new ride over at Hollywood Studios, which is kind of cool. So I took a lot of pictures, a lot of videos of the ride, and yeah, this was Blake's favorite ride all day at Disney California Adventure, besides Web Slingers. She did really love Web Slingers. So then we got off of they got off of Guardians, we got off of Monsters, and Blake and I went over to Pym's Test Kitchen, which is right next door to Guardians and Avengers Campus, and we got the French toast, and it was like French toast, bacon, and these little blueberry popping things in syrup, almost like boba, it tasted like to me. It was delicious. It was huge. So Blake, Eiley, and I shared that as like a little breakfast thing. Maddie had gotten breakfast at Jamba Juice earlier. And then we walked right over and went on Web Slingers. And again, this was not a lightning lane. We walked right on. I think we waited 10 minutes. The line said 20 and we were on and off in 10.
Yeah, it was fast.
So what did you think of Web Slingers? Because this was one that you were really excited about. So tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the concept was cool. I think the storyline, that was the biggest thing for me. I feel like the storyline could have been better. Again, kind of spoiler alert, but I feel like kind of incorporating the like antagonist of the movies would have been just a cooler theme overall.
Yeah, there were no villains per se.
Yeah, so I feel like that was really the downside to the ride. I feel like really cool concept in terms of very interactive, which I appreciated, but I just felt like the storyline was a little lackluster.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it felt like people warned us like it's Toy Story Mania but worse, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. It was still cool. The kids love Spider-Man. It was still worth doing. We did it twice. We ended up doing it again later with the Lightning Lane, but it was cool. The line never got crazy long. I think because it just wasn't as cool as people like thought it was gonna be. But there was not a lot of like it was all screens, so there wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of like animatronics. I don't know. I feel like they just could have done more. It's a very small space, so they utilized the space they had, I think.
Yeah.
And the pre-show was cute. Seeing Tom Holland was cool, but like, yeah, I don't know. And hot tip again, if you don't want a spoiler, fast forward 10 seconds. But basically, I was told by our friend over at Where I Long to Be podcast, Virginia, to use finger guns instead of the acting like you're shooting a web like Spider-Man, and that is the way to win for sure. But did I beat you both times?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. My score when I was looking at the first one was 240,600, and Maddie's the first time was 76,800. Eiley actually beat him and had 148,500. Blake was just happy to be there. She literally got no points the first time. She just was like sitting, chilling, and riding through the ride. But
I would definitely stretch before going on that ride.
yeah, it is. It's like it's a different muscle than Toy Story Mania, but it's like
Totally different.
it's crazy. And then right after we went outside and we made it in perfect timing to watch the Spider-Man show, which you just kind of stand, they'll tell you where to go, and it's like a 5-minute thing. But what did you think about that? Because I didn't tell you anything about it.
No, I almost like the show better than the ride.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was super short-lived, so I was expecting probably a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. But kind of just what happened again. Just spoiler alert one more time. But the slinging from building to building completely threw me off.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it at all. So when it happened, I was kind of like glad I was paying attention versus like just kind of like dazing off because that was really cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. I wish they had like a full length show of Spider-Man, like with stuff like that.
I wish it would have been a little bit longer for sure.
But so we caught the first show, which was 10:15 that day. Check the app; they have it pretty frequently, like every half an hour or so for most of the day. And then we got in line immediately after, as did most people, to meet Spider-Man, and we waited probably like 35 minutes to meet him. But the interaction with him was really good. Like he was very like he could talk.
Was super cool.
So he was like asking the kids like, "What's your name?" and what else did he ask you guys? Like,
I don't remember.
did you say like, "What superpower do you have?" I don't know, something. He was definitely talking a lot with you guys.
He was super interactive with the girls, which is fantastic.
And obviously, this was the character they were looking forward to meeting most at DCA. So Maddie was super pumped, and the kids were super pumped, and we just got really good pictures and videos. And then they, again, different than Disney World, so they have PhotoPass here, and it's included with your lightning lanes, actually, which is a great way to do it. Disney, I think you should take note. But basically, the best thing to do is hand them your phone. So they didn't take any pictures of us with Spider-Man on their own camera. It was like just our phone. Like I could take them, and then they took my phone and took pictures. And that's how almost everything was, except for Mickey and Minnie in Disneyland. And I don't know if the system was just down, or I don't know. Disneyland people tell me if that's how it normally is, which is fine, because this is a hot take. I don't usually love PhotoPass photos. I actually think they're usually not that great. So I was happy to have them just on our phone and not have to worry about like, oh, can you also do our phone and whatever. But yeah, so that's what we did next. And then we headed back over towards Pixar Pier, and we got our picture taken with the Ferris wheel, which is actually one of my favorite pictures from the day. We took some pictures over there. We watched the Green Army Men. They had a little show going with some drums. The kids thought that was really cool. It was like cute. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it was starting to get hot. And we were like, all right, we're hot. We're hungry. It was almost noon, and we needed to get some shade and get some lunch. So we went over to the Paradise Pier area and got some lunch. They have a couple of different options all right in the same area, which was nice. So you got...
I got a taco dish.
Was it pork?
I don't remember. But I remember whatever it was good.
Yeah, so they have like
it was solid.
Hispanic food options there, and they also have like pizza, pasta. I got a piece of pizza. It was fine, like generic Disney pizza. And Eiley actually got pasta, and it was pretty good. Again, quick service, pretty quick, reasonably priced. So we went there. The kids hung out. They had some people for like soul, like basically like soul music. These women who were singing, and they were great. So we listened to them for a little while. They did their little show. And then we went on the Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, which again, either was closed last time we were there or didn't exist. I don't even think Inside Out had come out as a movie yet last time we were there.
Right. I was like, what were you talking about?
Yes. Well, so the girls immediately decided which one they wanted to be in. And of course, they wanted two separate ones. And Blake had an absolute freaking fit that she did not get the Bing Bong seat.
Like, yeah, it was a meltdown.
She wanted the Bing Bong seat. We got Envy. Eiley had wanted Envy. I didn't understand what Blake was talking about. And then I realized there were the characters on the outside of the thing. And she's crying like almost the whole ride because she just said Bing Bong, Bing Bong. It was like so sad. So then I said, okay, I'm going to go get in line for Buzz and Woody because we had our Buzz Lightyear outfits on. And Maddie's like, I'll take them back on this and we'll get the Bing Bong one. Did you get the Bing Bong one?
No, it was taken by some teenagers.
And she cried again.
Yeah.
So that was not successful. So when I went over to get in line for Buzz and Woody, which is who was listed on the app, they were like, oh, Buzz isn't feeling well and he's not going to be back probably the rest of the day. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, we're in these Buzz outfits. The kids like wanted to meet Buzz. I was like, there's no backup Buzz. Like, Buzz doesn't have a friend. Like, no, nobody. Buzz. Okay. So Bo Peep was there and there was literally nobody in line waiting to meet her. So I just walked up. I had her sign our thing. I got cute pictures with Bo Peep. And then the girls came over and there was still no one in line. So they got pictures with Bo Peep. And then we stood there and waited for like 20 minutes to meet Woody because we were waiting for them to switch. Basically got in line immediately. And Woody took a long time with us too and like was very good and cute with the kids. Mm-hmm. So there was another great interaction. He was like pressing the buttons on their dress because they had these Buzz Lightyear dresses and like telling them to like put their arms out and pretend like they were flying. And it was very cute. Then we walked back over and I went on Incredicoaster. Maddie kept the kids. Did you guys go on the carousel or do you just stand there and like watch me go on?
No, we were just waiting for you to go.
And of course I get up there, and this is another theme we noticed at both parks in Disneyland is I get up there and the ride breaks down. And there were so many breakdowns on different rides this trip that it was crazy. But get on Incredicoaster finally after waiting just a couple of minutes. It came back up and running. Got off. We met Mrs. Incredible. We were walking past to go on the Pixar Pal Around, and Rex was out. So we all got pictures and got to meet Rex. He does not sign, but that's a new character interaction, and it was super cute. And then we went over and met Bruno. And so first we were going to go on the Pixar Pal Around. We get in line, and Blake immediately trips and smacks her face and starts bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
And her lip was like busted open, bleeding a ton. At the same time, a girl got super sick and passed out on the swinging one of the Pixar Pal Around, and she was in a wheelchair. She's throwing up in a bag, and then right away they closed the ride. So I don't know. It was just like a bad luck. And we were not going to do the swinging one. We were only going to do the traditional one. But we said, okay, like, obviously, they're like, you can wait, but we don't know when it's going to be open. They had to clean up the thing. I'm guessing she puked in the thing. I don't really know. So we got out of line and went and just chilled. We let Blake nap in the stroller. She was like done. And she literally said, I need to sleep or I need rest or something, right?
Yeah, I think she was cooked.
She was just tired. Totally tired. So we covered her up with the shade in the stroller. She literally laid her head back. I turned on Spider-Man on the iPad and she passed out. And I shut off the iPad, put it back in the backpack. She had no idea. She just like immediately laid down and went to sleep. So while she was sleeping, she met Bruno with us first, then she was sleeping, and then we met Mirabelle and Isabella. I took Eiley while Maddie sat with Blake in the stroller. And then since Blake was sleeping, we had bought a Lightning Lane single pass for Radiator Springs Racers. Now, these are also very different than Disney World. So again, Disney World, you're buying these things a week in advance. Sometimes if you're not staying on property, 3 days in advance. But these you could buy, like, you just decided when you wanted to go on it and buy it. They never seemed to sell out when we were there. Maybe they do towards the night because I've heard people like to ride it more at nighttime. But we basically were like, okay, Blake's sleeping. We had been watching to make sure it wasn't getting later and later and about to sell out. But you can't pick your return time. It's just whatever time is available when you go to buy it. So it was available immediately. So I bought them. I think they were $22 a piece, which is kind of steep. But so I bought one for me, Maddie, and Eiley. We did rider swap. So Maddie and Eiley went while Blake was sleeping in the stroller. And then she woke up, of course, immediately as soon as they got on the ride. So I took her on the little Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, which she liked. Maddie met us there. He took Blake on Mater's again. And I took Eiley back on the Radiator Springs Racers. What did you think about that ride? Because we had been on it once before, but did you like it better the second time that we went on it this time? Or you were just still like, eh?
Yeah, no, I thought, for some reason, I thought it just was a lot different.
The first time?
So the second time I was actually, I didn't think it was as popular as like it's, like just with how many people are there, I guess, you know?
Yeah, it's so popular.
Like,
I mean, that line was so long.
Like both, what is it? Both like the regular line and the single rider line. They were both probably, I feel like they were both like at least 40 minutes deep each.
You did not wait 40 minutes.
No, I'm saying the single rider and the
single rider. Yes,
single rider and
single pass.
in the
single rider.
In the regular line, we're each like 40 minutes plus 45 or something like that deep. So I don't know. I just felt like, is that supposed to be basically like the equivalent to Test Track? Is that what it's supposed to be? Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, I don't like, I feel like Test Track, from what I remember, it's been a long time since I went on it, but I feel like that's so much better. The Cars ride.
I think it's faster. I think we also just aren't super big Cars IP people, but I actually liked it better the second time that I went on it.
Yeah, not me.
But I still like Test Track better overall. But I still thought like, oh, this is cute. Eiley loves cars. So she was super into it. She's like, this is the best ride. I want to go again. And I'm like, do you see that line? We are not waiting in the line. But I think the reason it was only 45 minutes, and that's actually low for that ride, is because, again, this had shut down, like in the morning. Like it had shut down, everybody got out of line, and it had just reopened when we went back on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the rest of the day, it was like almost 2 hours long.
Yeah, definitely not for that ride.
Wild.
Yeah, no.
So we got off that, and then we went over to Soarin, which was another Lightning Lane multipass. So far we had done Guardians on a Lightning Lane multipass, Incredicoaster, then we got Soarin, and you took Eiley first, then I took Eiley, and you came off Soarin, and you had some opinions that I was surprised about.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely an underrated ride at Disney. I don't know, I just don't think it gets as much of the hype as maybe some of the other rides do.
It's just so good.
Yeah. I mean, I think Disney World in general, like, I think, well, Epcot as a whole, like, until recently didn't get as much hype as, like, you know, Magic or
Hollywood.
So I feel like it's not maybe spoken about as much. But I think, like, and maybe I had a little bit of, like, recency bias with obviously being in California, and, you know, the one we went on was California themed. So it was just.
No, it was World.
It was? Oh, yeah, and you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Well, maybe I take that back then. What I just said. That's all I forgot. Maybe that was the cool part. I mean, I think so. We had just maybe
we were just in the travel mode.
Maybe the fact that we had just come from Yosemite and had seen a national park and was just like on like this like super excited for like
the world and travel,
just seeing the outdoors and having like a greater appreciation for some of that stuff. I think maybe that just like played a role into like why I enjoyed it so much. But I think overall it's just a really like, it's a good ride. It's long. It's cool to see everything in that ride, and I definitely like that. The day at California Adventure is like, that was definitely like a top ride for me.
Yeah, obviously we love Soarin' here. That's part of the title of the show. It's just really good, and yeah, it is an underrated attraction. And I wish that the height requirement was so high. I think Blake would love it. It's 40 inches, so that kind of can be hard. So then I had to take her. We walked over to Little Mermaid, which said 20-minute wait. It was truly a 20-minute wait. It's the same ride basically as Magic Kingdom, which is fine. It's okay. It's not my favorite dark ride. It's fine. It also does not belong in California Adventure. It's the weirdest spot, and I don't know why it's there, but it is there. So we went on that, and then we walked back over and saw Pluto along the way. The girls love Pluto, so they were going crazy. They gave him hugs. He signed their thing. And again, very minimal line. It's like you just walk around the corner and there's Pluto, and it just seems like people don't even know that they're there to meet people, and it was great. There was like one person waiting, and they walked up, and we got to meet him right away. Eiley and I went on Soarin' again, and as soon as we get in line, half of it breaks down. So then they only had like, one side open. And I mean, luckily we still didn't wait super long or anything like that. But it just seemed like that was, again, the theme of the day. Then we got immediately, as soon as I scanned into Soarin', we got a lightning lane for Toy Story Mania, which was pretty much immediate. And we went over there. And this one, well, actually, I think we had gotten this earlier in the day after one of ours, was used. And then things that were a little bit more immediate were like Soarin'. My suggestion for the lightning lanes and only being able to select one at a time, this might be a hot take, I don't know, is go with whatever you want to ride most of the big rides. So first, and you're going to want to either pick Guardians of the Galaxy at California Adventure or Toy Story Mania as your first pick. Incredicoaster seemed to be there until like mid to late afternoon with availability, and Web Slingers was there. We got another lightning lane for it at like 7 p.m. for like an 8 o'clock return time. So check and see. You're going to want to pick the things that have later times as your next one pops up, and they have the same 2-hour rule. So you want to make sure that you set an alarm. So as soon as you pick that first lightning lane, set an alarm. 2 hours later, you can pick your next lightning lane, and so on and so forth. And that worked really well. I mean, we got on everything we wanted to at California Adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Mania, we got on again. And then it was time to head back over to get some dinner. You got dinner. It was like over in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was like an Asian restaurant.
What did you eat?
Teriyaki chicken.
With double vegetables.
And it was fantastic.
You were also starving.
So I was also very hungry.
And then the girls got mac and cheese from the place next door, which also looked like it had like delicious bread bowl mac and cheese. I ended up back at Pim's Test Kitchen and got a huge pretzel with beer cheese sauce, while Maddie went back on Guardians. Oh, so I never circled back to Eiley and I. So we went back on Guardians with our fast pass, because we kept bumping the fast pass out a little bit to give us some more time to do other stuff that had low wait times. And she was like, oh, I want to go again. I'm not scared. Now I know what to expect. I want to go. So I said, okay. So Maddie, you took Blake to Philharmagic, the show, right? With Donald Duck.
Yes.
And she really liked it. What did you think?
I was just happy to be sitting down.
In the air conditioning.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was nice. You've seen it at Disney World, though, a long time ago. Not with the new update with Coco, but...
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember that one.
Well, I've definitely seen it a bunch, and Eiley and I saw it with the update in Magic Kingdom for her birthday, so I was fine to miss out on that one. But, so we went on Guardians, we get through the pre-show, and she starts freaking out. And she's like, I don't want to do this again. And I said, no, Eiley, your dad's in the middle of a show with Blake. We're already up here. You've already done it. You've done Tower of Terror like so many times. Why are you so scared of this? She's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. She starts to cry. And then I start to be like, okay, what if we ask them for the back row? Because Maddie and Eiley, of course, got front and center, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So I was like, what if we asked them for the back row? So she said, okay. So I asked them for the back row. We were the back right-hand side so she could hang on to like, there was like a side thing. And then I obviously held on to her. She did fine. We got off and she's like, I don't like that ride. And I was like, do you still like Tower of Terror? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? And it's like, it's so much less like scary. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I really liked that ride again. So anyway, yeah, she did end up going on it a second time. Then Maddie went back on it with one of our return things, and we had gotten another rider swap, but I ended up not doing it again because Eiley just didn't want to do it, and Maddie wanted to get back and put Blake to bed, so he did that one twice. But you ended up not doing Incredicoaster a second time, is that right?
Yeah, was that the one that I like messed up on or something? I thought.
Oh yeah, you thought you could go back whenever, but our pass had expired,
Yeah,
and he didn't want to walk back over there to see if they still would let him on or not, because it was like hours past our pass.
Something like that, yeah.
Our swap or whatever.
Yeah.
So he did not go on that one again. And then after we did the Toy Story Mania, We came back over, so that was our second time Toy Story Mania, which was, again, love that ride, one of our favorites. We came back over, Maddie went on Guardians again for the second time. We met Black Widow, who was just out and about, was not on the app listed, but we met her, got pictures with her, got her to sign our frame. Then all of us went on Web Slingers with a Lightning Lane for the second time. And then we all went on Mike and Sully with a Lightning Lane to end the night for Maddie and Blake. And Maddie hadn't been on it. What did you think of that? You'd been on it. We'd been on it together, you and I, but you hadn't been on it this day until like 8:30 at night or whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was cute. I mean, it was just a nice like end of the night ride, I guess, for us. I think that was the last thing that Blake and I went on.
Yeah.
It was a nice just like way to finish things. So I thought it was cute. Got me super excited for the new Monsters Inc. ride coming out.
For sure. And then Maddie and Blake decided to head out, and Eiley and I headed back over. We looked in some different shops. She was still trying to decide what she was going to spend her last $30 on that she had for spending money. And so we looked. Of course, she saw this Aurora, like, 70th anniversary Barbie, and it was $100 and she wanted it, and I was like, absolutely not. And then she saw some different like art in, I think we were in like an Art of Disney or like something like that store, and she was like, I want that. And I'm like, yeah, it's like $300. No. Uh-huh. So we just like kind of walked around and looked at stuff. I think she picked out her pin there, which now I'm trying to remember what pin she got over at, I will look while we're going through this, but she picked out her pin for California Adventure. So we always let her pick a pin for each park day. So I got the pin for her technically in Downtown Disney because it was just something that I was like, this is unique. We're not going to be back here. It's the 70th anniversary. You know, this is the only time we're going to be here for the 70th. It's the only time it's going to happen. And then she got one there and one the next day at Disneyland. But she and I stayed for World of Color, and Maddie and I did not see that last time. I talked about this in the pre-trip episode if you didn't listen to that, but we had heard like it's okay, it's like Fantasmic without the characters, it's water projections, it's fine, there's a little bit of fireworky stuff but nothing crazy. And so we got there at 8:15. The show started at 9, and we had a decent spot. I didn't understand that you could do virtual queue for this, and so I wish I would have done that because that was better spots. I didn't get that. I thought it was like only dining reservations. So if you're going for the 70th, look for virtual queue for World of Color. I don't know if they do it for both shows. I ended up doing it for the second show because they had two shows that night, one at 9 and one at 10:15, and I got a spot for that just like by doing it literally at 8:15 that night. So look ahead into the earlier show, ask around for people that have been more frequently than us. But just being there in that park at night, it was such a vibe. I thought that park was so cool at night. Everything lit up on Pixar Pier, everything in the Cars Land, Radiator Springs area, that was super cute. And Avengers Campus, it was just all really cool. And Maddie and I had not really gone at night before. But I love the incorporation of the Muppets into World of Color. World of Color itself was cute. I wouldn't say you have to do it. I would say if you're a Disney fan, you're listening to this podcast, so you must be, and you feel like it's worth staying that late, then do it. Maybe do the second show if your kids are older or if you don't have kids, because then you can get a lot of stuff done. Like almost everything at that point had very minimal wait times. Or do the first show and then go hop on Incredicoaster because that was all lit up during the show and it had really cool lights like right on the roller coaster. And same with the Pixar Pal Around. That'd be really cool to sit in during World of Color. But again, we were pretty shot by that point. We headed back to the hotel like right around park close because we went back towards the front, went in some shops. So about 10 o'clock and got back to the hotel like 10:30. So that day at Disney California Adventure, we walked 24,000 steps.
It was a lot. Too much.
It was a lot. So what did you think overall of California Adventure?
No, I thought it was good. I guess it's the equivalent of Hollywood.
Yeah.
For the most part, right?
Similar.
We got a lot of the same stuff. I liked it. I would give it A-. Overall.
Okay. What about out of 10?
Out of 10, probably 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm also biased towards I like Hollywood studio things, so.
Yeah, like movie type things.
Yeah,
You're a big Avengers or like.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely
Marvel
thought
guy.
I would definitely like to see more in that area.
Which they're doing.
Which they're doing, so I'll give them that. But I'd probably say overall like 8.5, somewhere in that range. It was a good day.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, that is it for the California Adventure sections. We are actually going to go ahead and cut the episode off here because it's going to be a really lengthy episode if we do both California Adventure and Disneyland in one as we're talking. I'm like, oh, this is going to be long. So we are going to get into Disneyland next week. So stay tuned for that. But overall, I think favorite rides for me at California Adventure would be Guardian still. I really love that ride. Incredicoaster was awesome. And Toy Story Mania are probably my top 3, followed by Soarin'. And I would say Web Slingers. I don't know. Or Mike and Sully. I can't pick. What about you?
I would say... Oh, I'd probably say I'm going to go Toy Story Mania? Yeah, I'm going to...
As your top?
I'm not going to do that because they have it at Disney World too. I'm going to be a little unique. I'll go... Man, Incredicoaster or... whatchamacallit, Guardians. Which one do I like better? I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Incredicoaster. A, because again they don't have anything like that at Disney World, but also B, I didn't mention this earlier, but it's a pretty long roller coaster, which I appreciate. So I'm gonna go that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a loop. I'm gonna go Soarin' 2.
Oh wow.
And I'm gonna go Toy Story Mania 3. Yeah, I'm throwing a loop in there. I'm throwing a loop.
Okay. All right. And what would you say? So you did top 3. So what about food wise? What did you think of the food in the park? Would you say like?
Oh, my food was fantastic.
Okay. So you didn't mind eating there?
Oh no, I could actually eat in there.
And we didn't do any sit down. It was all quick service.
Yeah, no, mine was absolutely fantastic. So I was very satisfied with the food.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And thank you again for, everybody's questions and everything. Looking forward to getting into it and kind of doing our full final, I promise. I know this episode is going to be 1 episode. Now it's 2 episodes. Now it's going to be 3 episodes. But
that's a lot.
We'll get into total tops, what not to miss. I know we have some listener questions and stuff to address too, but we'll do that on the Disneyland episode next week. So be on the lookout for that. But again, really, Disney California Adventure, you can spend an entire day there. I know some people have called this a half-day park. And I'm
no, definitely not.
It's definitely a full-day park. You can spend all day there. But that is all. So thank you guys again for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Soarin Around WDW Pod, where we share fun reels, throwback photos, and dive into our old versus new debates. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. And for our Spotify listeners, a follow and a 5-star review would mean the world. If you're listening on Apple, hit that 5-star button and leave us a written review as well. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time.